And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckhouse along with Brandon Combs and Wyatt Williams. If you guys have missed any part of the show whatsoever, head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the podcast form of the show. If you're watching us over there on YouTube, hit that like button right now and subscribe as well. Also on Facebook, if you're watching us on Facebook, like and subscribe as well. If you like to just single out a simple spot of the show with some interviews or some NFL talk, some Major League Baseball talk, head over to youtube.com/Man Hour and just click on the clips playlist, and you can pull out each and every clip that you guys want to listen to. So guys, I think we've had a great show. We've had some great interviews. We had Jalen and Will from Jeffersonville High here in Southern Indiana. They're going to probably be Division I athletes as well. We had Indiana State basketball player Kobe Barnes, that guy's 6'6", 225.
telling you, man, he's got to go play some college football.
Yeah.
And Man Hour Nation, I usually tell you guys this at the beginning of the show, but you are listening to the best damn sports radio show on the planet. I don't care what nobody else says. I don't care what nobody else. You watch this show for a full week, and I'm telling you right now, you will never want to watch another sports talk show in your life. We are the best damn sports radio show on the planet.
We definitely had the most fun too. So
yeah.
I've literally had to pee for the last hour and 40 minutes, but I refused to get up. So
no, I was texting Jalen and Will during the break and stuff, and they were like, "Dude, that was so much fun." And I was like, "That's what's so great about this show is we're not censored. We do whatever we want. We have a great time all the time." And they were like, "Dude, that was so much fun. That was awesome." I told them, I was like, "Hey, come back whenever you want."
Hey, you guys can come over to Floyd Central and play football, and I'm like that 24/7. So, a little soft recruiting. I like it, guys. Stacy says you guys are the best.
Thank you.
Yeah, Stacy, thank you for your support. Stacy, this is the first time I've seen her in the chat. She's been here all
she's
week,
my grandma who hosts all the watch parties. It's my grandma's really good friend, so she's always in the watch parties and stuff. So she's always here, but we can't see the watch party comments and stuff. But she's been here.
So, all right, guys. So, like I said, we have talked some high school basketball, some college basketball as well, along with the interviews, and we just got done some NFL talk. We do have championship weekend coming up, but let's go ahead and switch over to a little bit of NBA. We don't talk a lot of NBA on the show, but one thing that I wanted to bring up is obviously the Harden trade happened last week. This is his third or fourth game now with the Nets, and over the last, 10 to 12 years, we have really been seeing these super teams, right? We saw LeBron James go down to Miami Heat with Wayne and Bosh, and then we had the Golden State Warriors with me, and of course they drafted their super team, but then KD went there. So we see these pods of super teams that basically kind of form up every 2 years, and they spread out, and they form up again, yada. Why, you are the basketball guy here on the show, so first things first, do you like super teams in the NBA?
I don't mind it because I think that in all sports you're going to have super teams no matter what. We can look at football, for example. You have teams like Kansas City, of course, has a lot of high-powered players who we've talked about earlier in the show. But, honestly, I don't mind it. I have always been someone who, a lot of people gave Kevin Durant hate whenever he went to the Golden State Warriors. A lot of people gave LeBron when he went to Miami a lot of hate. I have never been one to down someone for looking to better themselves. I've never been one to be like, think about it. Put yourself in their shoes. If you're Kevin Durant and you can't win a title in OKC because you don't have the pieces, but this team in OKC is going to pay, or this team in Oakland, Golden State is going to pay you more money, and you're going to win several rings. You're going to get a Finals MVP. You'd be stupid not to go. Okay.
So hang on 1 second. So let's flash back to that NBA Finals. It was Oklahoma State versus Golden State, and the Oklahoma State Thunder took them to 7 games, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. OKC had a 3-1 lead on them, and then the Warriors ended up coming back and winning it, and then they went on to the title game and lost. But Kevin Durant was still playing for OKC whenever they had that 3-1 lead. When he left is whenever they fell apart.
True. Okay.
The super teams are I don't really care. My favorite thing is watching the super teams lose. When the Miami Heat only won 2 titles, that to me was amazing.
They played a super team though, and now they shouldn't have lost to Dallas. Though you're correct. But they played a good team in San
But that
Antonio.
Dallas team beat pretty much 3 super teams on their way to the title.
Yeah.
That Dallas team was ridiculous that year.
Yes.
So I love watching those teams beat those teams. Like last night, the Cavaliers, the lowly Cavaliers, taking the new super team, the Brooklyn Nets, to double overtime and beating them. Like
Colin Sexton is a dog.
Yeah, I love watching stuff like that. Now, I kind of agree with Tori Anderson here, who says, not a super team fan. Competitive balance is out the window with it all. You bargain too much of your future with it. I do agree with that.
Sure.
And I think that kind of hurts, is what hurts your legacy for like a guy like LeBron James, who wants to be compared to, well, I wouldn't even say that, because LeBron doesn't want to be compared to anybody. We kind of, the media and the fans kind of give that, moniker to him. Are you Michael Jordan? LeBron just wants to be the best LeBron, and that's evident from early in his career when he said, we lost, but I'm still going to go to my big old house with my beautiful wife, and you're still going to have to go to work tomorrow. That's
Exactly.
LeBron James. Michael Jordan would have had a completely different press conference, and I think that's what separates the two. And I think that's what separates the mentality of, teams from the 80s and 90s to teams of now, is because the generations are just different. The idea of winning a ring and teaming up with a bunch of other all-stars to do it, fine, great. You get your ring. But to me, it's a little bit more watered down than, if you were to do that and lead a team like how Michael Jordan did. I mean, yes, he had Scottie Pippen, but beyond Scottie Pippen, they just had a
Dennis
bunch of role
Rodman,
players.
Horace Grant. He had a ton of guys.
How did the Bills not have a super team?
He had a super team. He was the original super team.
First of all, Dennis Rodman was a very, very good rebounder. He was a very, very good defender.
He was the best rebounder of all time.
Yeah, but he was on one side of the floor. You weren't giving him to the ball on the offensive side of the floor.
He was still a pretty good offensive piece, though.
But
was decent offensively.
But in today's NBA, it's the opposite way around.
But you're not giving the ball to.
You can give Kyrie and James Harden the ball all day long because they're going to shoot the lights out. But
you can't give the ball to J.R. Smith or Rajon Rondo.
You can give the ball to Rondo because he's a facilitator.
Well, but he's going to pass it. He's not going to take the shot.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, those are key players. Like a Rajon Rondo right now is what a Bill Wennington or a let's go to his size. Let's go John Paxson for the Bulls back in the day. He's a guy that is going to pass the ball a lot. He's going to facilitate, and every once in a while he can hit a shot for you. I mean,
so let me jump in on this conversation here a tad bit. The problem with the NBA is literally one player can make you from worst to first. So, like, let's say LeBron James would go back to the Cavaliers, like, right now. They would instantly be in playoff conversations just because of that one player. With that being said, it is so easy to make a super team because there is talent across the whole NBA. So let's say right now, if LeBron James would go back to Miami Heat already has a pretty good team down there. They got Tyler Hero, they got Jimmy Butler, they got the other guy from Kentucky, Bam. Right? Yeah, and then if you add LeBron James to that team, just one player, that would in theory be, quote, a super team because of Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, right? So the term super team is really hard to facilitate.
Right.
Now, if you have 3 guys from separate teams going to one team to make a super team, that would be classified as a super team, right?
And let's stop talking about, Jordan was the original super team, because you're out of your mind, because that just shows that you're young, Wyatt, okay? Because
they had to add Horace Grant to beat the Detroit Pistons.
He had three Hall of Famers on the same team.
Right.
In their prime.
And what about the 80s Lakers? Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Did you forget about that team? That was a super team before the Bulls were a super team.
Right. You are.
They were not the original super team. There have been super teams beforehand, but these are players that were drafted by their teams. These were not guys who said, "Hey, why don't you come play with me? Hey, why don't you come play with me? Hey, why?" This is not Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James playing on Team USA saying, hey, it'd be really cool if we brought this really good all-star team to a team in the NBA and won some championships. And that to me is a huge difference from what they did in the 80s and 90s to what they do now.
So if you want to talk about that Miami Heat team, D. Wade was the only player at that time that had a championship ring on that team, if I'm not mistaken.
Because of Shaq.
Yeah.
And it's because of Shaq, yeah.
So when you bring a young LeBron and a young Chris Bosh onto a team, yes, LeBron James was probably arguably still the best player in the NBA, but Chris Bosh was really overlooked. I don't think they even had him ranked in the top 15, top 20.
Chris Bosh was a huge player out of Toronto. Chris Bosh was
But I'm saying he was overlooked and overrated because he was in Toronto.
He was overrated for sure. He was definitely the smallest piece of the big three. But at the time, he was a legit, triple-double guy all the time.
Because he was in his prime in Toronto. That was the problem with Bosh that everybody had was when he was in Toronto, he was so dominant. He was in his prime. It was prime Bosh. It was what you expected to see every single night. Then he goes to Miami, and he was still great. Don't get me wrong. I loved Chris Bosh. But he kind of exited his prime as we watched him in Miami. His years winded down. Same with D. Wade. D. Wade's prime ended.
Too.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it, too, is that when they got into that team, I think what they thought was they were about to walk over the NBA. And that just was not the case. You don't think that not one, not two, they thought they were going to walk over the NBA?
I think so, especially if you watch that presentation whenever they all come out on the stage and there's fire and pyrotechnics. And a lot of people look at the big three, but you also can't forget Mario Chalmers was a nice role player on that team. Old, way out of prime, Ray Allen was a nice addition on that team. You had it was all old players, and that's what we see from LeBron a lot. He loves guys. Yeah. Well, but I will say, though, I don't remember who it was. I think it was one of you guys that mentioned it earlier that the NBA is watered down because of super teams. But also in the playoffs, it's not a super team versus the Orlando Magic or the Bulls now. Just a terrible team. You're playing other super teams that have been assembled, especially in that championship game. We can literally look at any year in the last probably 10 years, and there is at least two guys on that team who are just all-star players. That's how you get there. You got to have two guys that are just ridiculously good.
And that's why I said I don't think the super teams always work, is because I think that they get that mentality that they don't have to work as hard as they did before they became the superstars to build a super team. It's a lot like the same thing in baseball. Once you get these superstars that make these big contracts and all of a sudden disappear. How many of these big 10-year contracts absolutely pan out for these guys that they sign on?
Bryce Harper.
You look at a guy like Bryce Harper. Yeah, Bryce Harper has more strikeouts than hits.
Alex Rodriguez.
Bryce Harper has more strikeouts than hits in his 2 years since he signed that contract.
Yes.
So let me bring up this comment from Tori. Guys, we got 1 minute left before our time's up here. Tori says the only recent legend that would thrive in both generations is Kobe. And I think
LeBron.
I think LeBron would thrive in both too.
No, he wouldn't.
He's an incredible athlete. He's the greatest athlete we've probably ever seen.
He is an incredible athlete, but what did we ask Will? What's the worst thing you could be told as a basketball player? You're soft. Bron's soft on the court, man.
Combs, we got to have this debate soon, dude.
He is only soft because of the referee calls. Like you have to play to what the referees is.
I can pull up pictures right now on my phone.
They're going to do it.
I can pull up pictures right now on my phone of LeBron going into the lane. He has a hand on the face. He's getting tackled.
I can pull up pictures on my phone when Jordan was driving the lane and he was upside down because he was getting body slammed.
No, he absolutely was. And the bad boy Detroit Pistons bullied him. I'll go super quick with this, I promise. Bad boy Detroit Pistons bullied him, absolutely. But LeBron has been bullied too in his career. LeBron doesn't just walk into the lane and they're just touch, foul. He's taken some shots.
That is very, very true. But guys, that's going to be it for the Man Hour. Head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the blogs. Pick up some merchandise as well. And just overall subscribe to the website as well. If you miss any part of the show whatsoever, check us out on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio as well. See you guys next week or on Saturday on Big X Sports Radio at 9 a.m. here in Louisville, Kentucky, 96.1. Combs, send us out, man.
Man Hour Nation. LeBron is soft. Rise up.